Opening night. It's opening night.
Well, that sucked. Greetings, travelers. It is I, your host, the, human that knows a lot, Dr. Waluigi. Yes, I'm actually going to be doing my own series of vlog reviews this time. Now, I'm not going to be exchanging these for my regular videos. Those are still going to be made and are coming out soon. But I do want to do these kind of reviews for two reasons. Number one, I have a lot of movies that I watch and I do want to talk about, but most of them kind of fall into the category of they wouldn't work for a full video, or they're too modern and I can't get them to be reviewed without putting in a bunch of copyright bullshit. So I'm going to be doing these vlogs just to give you guys some reviews to tide you over until I get my regular stuff out. And we're going to be starting off with a movie that I had originally wanted to cover in January, but life got ahead of me and I just didn't get around to it. So now you get to hear what I think of on the 2009 superhero movie Defendor. Now, specifically why I want to talk about this movie is because as a kid, I remember seeing this movie everywhere, in video stores, in grocery stores back when they had DVDs on a rack you could just look through and buy. And I always skipped it because it just looked bland to me. Like, there wasn't anything special about this movie that I wanted to watch outside of maybe the cast, which is, I wouldn't say very high bar, but there were at least 3 actors in this. I do love and have seen them in other things, but this is just one of their movies they probably did for a paycheck. But what's the story? It's a superhero movie. It has the basic premise of a superhero movie, which is that it's about a guy named Arthur who dresses up as a superhero named Defendor, and he goes out fighting crime and trying to take down the evil being called Captain Industry, who it turns out is just a regular drug lord in his small town. Yeah, it's not exactly the most interesting of movie plots, but I do like a lot of superhero movies, as I've reviewed throughout the years, and I just wanted to give this one a chance to see maybe my initial impression of the movie was, wrong. But yeah, it really is just a basic superhero movie. The only difference being that it takes a premise that was pretty popular in the late 2000s, beginning of the 2010s, where they wanted to do what if we created a superhero movie that took place in our modern world? And you can find movies like that with stuff like Kick-Ass and Kick-Ass 2. Yeah, I apologize. I don't have very many examples for it, but this is what that movie was. But it came out also during a time when a lot of people were trying to do parodies of superhero stuff. Like a lot of comedians, I do remember doing a lot of those type of parody superhero movies, like specifically with Superhero Movie and Blank Man. And as far as this one goes, I can't really talk about a lot of it because it's such a basic premise and there isn't really anything that stands out from it outside of the cast, sorry, I apologize if I'm repeating myself. I just feel like there's not really that much to talk about. But I will say that the cast in this is pretty good. I do love Woody Harrelson, who plays Defendor, as he plays a kid. He basically plays the superhero role very well, but his whole main character thing is that his mom was a drug addict and she, took drugs and alcohol when he was in her belly. So he basically is the child trapped in a man's body where he doesn't understand a lot of things and he basically changes certain words and phrases around to make sense to him. Like, the reason why he's after this Captain Industry is because his grandfather was talking about how the captains of industry ruined America. So that's why he's after Captain Industry. There's no Captain Industry that exists. It's just something his grandfather said, and he just, in his mind, basically created a character that ruined his life. But again, I don't think this is a bad character. I just feel like in this kind of a movie, I wish they did more with the character outside of just being like, oh, he fights crime, gets in trouble with the police, and they basically have to, show off like, oh, well, the police system is bad because they're taking a person that's mentally challenged and trying to throw him in prison because they don't want to deal with him. Like, that's really the whole way this character's written throughout the story and as he's acted on it with Woody Harrelson. The only other two actors I do know that are in this movie are Kat Dennings, who is this prostitute that basically gets saved by Defendor and she wants to help him, but at the same time she's also just trying to get money off of him until the end where she's like, becomes a better person because of his actions. And it's like that for the entire cast of this movie, where the whole thing about Defendor is like, oh, he inspires people to take down crime, and now other people start trying to take down crime, but not as vigilantes. It's very generic and boring. And then the last cast member I did recognize in this movie, at least of the main characters, was Elias Koteas as a corrupt police officer that works for the drug lord. And the only reason why I recognize him, and I do apologize if I butchered his name, is because he was the actor who played Casey Jones in the 90s Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie. And it kind of sucks that he hasn't really done anything that's big, or at least well-known outside of his earlier work as Casey Jones. But I will say that in this movie, again, he's just the grunt, which he does a fine enough job, but I just, again, really feel like he could have been more like, maybe he could have been the drug lord, but, sometimes you just can't get what you get. Other than that, there's really not much else to discuss in terms of how well this movie was made, because this was a direct-to-video movie. It has decent production value, but really the whole city that that this movie takes place in is just kind of bland. Like, there's no defining thing in the city. It's just, oh, look, it looks like a city that's covered with snow. Okay, is there anything else about it that's interesting? No, not really. Costume design wise, I will say that, again, I get what they were trying to do with Defendor's costume, where he's like, oh, well, we're going to make him like what Christopher Nolan did with Batman by showing off how he uses Wayne Enterprises to get all of his technology and his costume and stuff like that. But in this movie, again, it's really bland and boring. It's just basically Defendor buying random shit that he finds in a store that he thinks he can use, like having a spy kit that a kid would have that's like, oh, he can record stuff and then put it on a VHS tape. Yes, kids, VHS tapes were still being used as late as the end of the 2000s. Or he would just like put, instead of like a domino mask, he would put black paint over his eyes, and his symbol is just a hoodie with the D being made out of duct tape. There's really not a whole lot to talk about with this movie. It's just, I do remember, again, a lot of superhero movies that were coming out, and this one was one I did really want to see if it was good. But honestly, it is just, if you showed this to like a film class, it'd be the generic kind of boring, bland film that everyone thinks of when they think of superhero films. I will say that if you are looking for a better film that does like the meta, or like does the meta parody style of like what if a superhero was real, then I would say probably check out stuff like Kick-Ass, because Kick-Ass at least does that, but has the over-the-top violence in it that makes it stand out, and the costumes are amazing. This is just blah. Like, if I had to give this a rating, this would be like a 5 out of 10 for me. It's not a bad movie, and it's not even like the worst superhero movie I've ever seen, but it just, there's nothing here that I can say that I haven't seen in other superhero movies. Hell, I would even say that, like, this is, like, the most bland and basic thing that you would get if you were, again, like, just someone wanting to look at superhero films. But that's just my opinion. I'd actually like to know what you guys think of Defendor. Is it as bland and boring as I think it is, or maybe there's something in it you really enjoyed that I didn't mention in this video? But with that being said, this is going to be where I stop for the night and just move on for other things. Thanks for watching. I'm Dr. Waluigi. And remember, don't judge a book by its cover, because you'll never know what's inside. Good night, everyone.